The US has failed completely to stop Yemen's actions in the Red Sea, and effectively the US Navy has, hidden in the northern part of the Red Sea, well away from any attacks from Yemen. And kind of a way to get around this and almost pretend that this failure isn't happening is to instead blame Iran and ignore the fact that Yemen would do it anyway. But obviously they need the material weapons as well, but they're making a lot of their own weapons, and they've had quite a lot of success in knocking out Reaper drones. I think the 18th was knocked out just a day or so ago. $32 million times 18, that's a fair amount of weaponry they've knocked out. And the impact on the Israeli economy continues to be really quite strong. So that's something that they haven't been able to stop, the US policy under Biden and also under Trump so far. So they stepped up this big bombing campaign, which obviously causing a lot of devastation in Yemen, but probably won't do anything to prevent their actions against shipping in the Red Sea. There's no way that an attack on Iran by the US, let alone if Israel got involved in that as well, there's no way that that kind of attack could be limited to just the US sending missiles or something and then nothing else happening in return. All of the US bases in the Middle East would be affected, probably hit fairly easily by the Iranians, who haven't done that so far. And Iran has threatened that, or told basically the Gulf states, which have US military bases, that if their bases are used, then they would become targets. If their bases were used for attacks on Iran, then they too would become targets. Iran is able to close off the Strait of Hurmuz if it wanted to. And as you may know, a great deal of oil, something like 20% of traded oil, goes through the Strait of Hurmuz. Not simply from Iran, it's from Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, for example. And liquefied natural gas also comes through that route. And it would be pretty easy for Iran to close that off if it wanted to. They haven't done so far, but it's something that would be a fairly easy extra tactic in their response if they wanted to. The impact would be worldwide. I don't think we'd see something like $300 a barrel oil or something, because as we see just recently, the tensions with Iran haven't diminished, but oil prices have dropped because of the extra OPEC output and also fears of recession. So what would happen probably if there was something like the closing of the Straits of Hormuz, then probably oil prices would go up initially, but increased oil prices would damage economic prospects.